only one group of people who want safe spaces that are race-specific. There's only one group of people that want safe spaces so that they never have to hear from anybody of a different ideology or political persuasion. Those people are called fascists. Okay, and you've got a bunch of fascists, damn fascists on this campus, who are trying to shut down political debate and trying to cloister themselves in this little cocoon of stupidity so they don't have to debate anyone or think about issues outside their kin so that they can feel comfortable. Guess what? Life isn't about feeling comfortable. Life is about bettering yourself. Get off your ass, you stupid pansies. You're far enough left, if you're a devotee of Howard Zinn, which Ben Affleck is, and you believe that America bears collective guilt for all the sins of the past and there is no repentance, then of course you would attempt to escape that collective guilt by saying, well, my ancestors were never a part of that. That really is the only logical reason behind this, because, look, there's nothing to be ashamed of that your ancestors did things that are wrong. Pretty much everybody's ancestors did things that were bad. That's the point. We've progressed beyond that, and if Ben Affleck can't see that, then that's the real tragedy in all of this. I mean, aside from the fact that he was in Reindeer Games and has been cast as Batman, which is its own tragedy.
I feel the frustration of what's happening in the community, and I think it's a symptom. The uprisings are a symptom of a pressure that's been unaddressed for too long.
I'm offended by the language of uprising applied to people who are breaking into other black people's stores and looting them. Gotcha, this is a lack of values. And people who are destroying private property, destroying cop cars, in an uprising against what exactly? Against the black police chief, against the mostly minority police force, against the black mayor, against the black president, against the black attorney general, against against a city council that is 9 of 15 are black and all 15 are elected Democrats. What is the uprising against? What is it seeking to achieve? I still don't see what exactly the riots are seeking to achieve. Bottom line is, it all could be boiled down to just act like a mensch. Act like a human being. Honestly, it's not useful to riot, it's not useful to break things, it's not useful to throw rocks at people. And the idea that we're supposed to correlate your level of outrage with a certain level of justification, in other words, the more outraged you are and the more angry you are, the more justified you must be, is absolute nonsense.
Lame.
Yeah, and
man up.
Right,
man up is very bad, I guess. Politically correct. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
what's wrong with man up?
What's wrong with man up?
Yeah.
So I have 6 sisters and a mother, and 1 father. So I come from a family of predominantly women.
Right.
And so when my sisters are growing up in an environment where whenever, they hurt their foot or something is hurting them emotionally or physically, and if I were to tell them to man up, that the ideal thing is to become more masculine and less feminine, to me personally, that's
I don't know,
offensive.
but I mean, I don't think you're going to say that to your mother, so I think that's not a very good or specific example. Maybe you say it to Ben. Ben, man up. Does that bother you?
Well, honestly, again, I have a wife, I have a daughter, I have 3 sisters and a mother. I don't know that any of them are going to go throw themselves off a bridge if somebody says man up to them. I think that perhaps the best solution is for everyone to man up a little bit and get over it. I mean, honestly, I don't know what you're training kids to do other than become paranoid about the language that they're using and the language that is used about them. I think a lot of people have futures as administrators in useless departments at University of Wisconsin. When you make up your own evidence, and when you don't have the evidence to back what you're saying, then we end up in this bizarre space, this bizarre space, where your own subjective truth is what truly matters. Right? What we hear is, well, I may not have the evidence to back it up. I may not have filed a police report. Right? I may not really know that the KKK is wandering around on Mizzou's campus. Right? I may not know it. I don't know, but I feel it deep in my bones. I feel like they're reenacting. Deep in my bones, they're truly and absolutely reenacting Birth of a Nation out there on the quad. That's what they're doing. And it doesn't have to be the truth. It just has to be my truth. It's just my truth. Okay, folks, there's another name for your truth, and it's bullshit. Gotcha, bitch. Okay? The fact is that there is something called truth, and there is something called not truth. Okay? There's no such thing as your truth. If it is your truth and you have no evidence to back it up, it is not the truth, it is your feelings. And as I already said, going back 10 minutes, I don't care about your feelings. Your feelings are unimportant. To mature people, the subjective feelings of others are only important if you're married to them. Okay, fact, don't care about your feelings.
Turn down for weed. Smoke weed.
Hi. Okay, so my question is, can you just do me a favor and define the terms in your definition,
Sure.
White privilege, microaggression, and trigger warnings? Because it seems that we have very different definitions of it, and yours seem to be kind of one-dimensional and simplistic, which makes your arguments agreeable, yes, on the surface,
Yes.
but not, agreeable on the surface, yes, but not really anything more than basic.
Okay. Well, since you're already critiquing them, why don't you give me your definition? We can discuss that. That seems more productive.
No, actually, I just want to hear yours because that's how your whole, I want to know what your argument is based upon, and your definitions are what matters here, not mine, so please continue.
Okay, so I'll give mine and then we can trade if you want. We can have a full discussion, it'd be awesome. So my definition of white privilege is that America was founded on racism, and that it is inherent in the Constitution of the United States and our legal system, and it is unremovable from the United States and our legal system. It is bound up in our economics, it's bound up in our intellectual system, it's bound up in all of the institutions that surround us, and therefore individual failings are largely due, or group failings, if there's disparity between groups, group failings are due to these institutional biases that long predated the people who are born today, as opposed to the fault or responsibility of the individual today.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Do you find that deeply wrong or unfair?
I think that's very one-dimensional, but can you please go on to microaggression? No, I'm just curious. I don't want to.
Sure. Yeah. No. You can label it whatever you want. I was hoping to get your definition also, so we can actually come to consensus if we could. I mean, that'd be more interesting to me. But if you want me just to define things, okay, dictionary time. Okay. So microaggressions, according to Jonathan Haidt and Greg Lukianoff in The Atlantic, are largely defined as implicit statements that we make that offend other people without even knowing it. And they're based subjectively. They're not based objectively. So I can say something to you, like if I ask you where you're from, right? You can take that as a microaggression, particularly if you're from a foreign country, because you may be thinking that I'm thinking that you are a foreigner, for example. And to me, subjectivity in interpretation is significantly less important or decent for a society in which we actually have to talk to each other than objective meanings of words and statements.
Personally, I do agree with that definition to an extent. The comment that you made about having microaggressions allow someone to put their hands on them or allow someone to act negatively or aggressively or physically, I do disagree with that because I think that's taking a jump away from what microaggressions actually mean.
So then we'll call it microaggressions. So instead, why don't you just say, that offends me?
Which is perfectly fine, but I think that what microaggressions mean, you are taking it another step outside of what the common definition is, or at least the definition that I may use. I just think that
right. You're right that I'm extending the logic to what campuses actually do, namely punish people for microaggressions or take measures against them. So you may agree that something's a microaggression, there shouldn't be measures against it. I'm suggesting that we come to an agreement now, you and I, that the language of microaggressions ought to go away, and instead we'll just call them subjectively offensive statements, because that's more accurate. Microaggression implies there's something objectively aggressive about what I am saying to you if I say something to you that you don't like.
Smoke weed every day.
I don't want to take too much time.
It's interesting, so I'm glad you're here.
I will step by that one because I just for now. Next one is trigger warnings.
Okay, so trigger warnings are again based on the idea that I'm going to say something to you that is. Were you here? Yes.
Definition of it, because I think we have two different definitions of what all these terms.
The reason that I'm finding this conversation mildly unproductive is you're not giving me your definition, so we can actually reach something here. I'm happy to define things until the cows come home. But what I enjoy doing is actually figuring out, if you think I'm wrong, you tell me where I'm wrong, and then we can discuss where I'm wrong or not. That seems more productive to me. Wouldn't it be more productive to you? I mean, as opposed to me just saying?
Okay, so it would be more productive, but this is a lot. Oh, it's a lot more people than I want to state.
We have a long line.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So thank you.
Again, folks, if you want to email me, If you want to email, my email address, if you want to have these discussions at more length, is bshapiro@dailywire.com. I'm always happy to have long conversations as time permits to do these things.
Can't be touched, can't be stopped, can't be moved, can't be rocked, can't be shook. We hot when
Let me put one thing first. I don't care about your feelings. Like, just be perfectly clear, I care nothing about your feelings. I don't want to hear about your feelings. I don't want to hear about your subjective emotions. I don't want to hear about your heart cries out to that. I don't care. You're not my wife. You're not my kid. I don't give a damn.
That's right. Fuck all y'all.
You don't know what you're talking about. You're not educated on genetics.
Would you like to discuss the genetics? Or
well, no,
what
no.
are your genetics?
And I think what's really important here is that if we don't speak to the voices of the 14 to 24-year-olds, we don't listen to the millennials and what they're saying, then we're tragically doomed to repeat the history of bigotry and prejudice that has really impacted our society.
Ben? I mean, is there any value to saying that there is some inherent bias, this sort of fear of difference of something that seems other, and that it's valuable to sort of look at that and try to call attention to it so we can stop it?
How about combating actual acts of racism? How about singling out racism and then actually doing something about it, as opposed to doing this kind of Marxist newspeak in which we go through everybody's hidden actions? You know, I'm sensing a real sort of underlying, I don't know, racial bias to this whole segment. Robert, I find you to be racially biased. I find you to be insensitive, bigoted, and misogynist based on everything that you've said. It may be hidden. Maybe I can't detect it, but we all know it's there.
Take it over. Take it over. I see you trying hard, but we do it.
When I stop typing, I'm done.